There was a 500-pound gorilla in the room that nobody wanted to talk about. I was like, this has to be shown. Hey, Ron Savello. Damn, see this kid over here? He's obviously underage, right? Shouldn't he be in school?
You're harassing people.
Who am I harassing?
You're harassing people.
Dude, let me tell you something, all right? You just assaulted me.
You're harassing
All right,
people.
for the second time.
The second time?
Yeah, you went at me twice. See, that's a high-level OT acting like that. Aren't you the security guy that handled the Lisa McPherson stuff on the street?
She was what?
She was an innocent.
She was a
I knew a she.
Oh, this is golden, brother. This is golden. Or yeah, is this the same wife? You know who that guy is, right? The guy that assaulted me, brother.
Have you talked to your mother? You told her she wanted to hear from you. She was worried about you.
Oh, was she? And why was she worried about me? How would you know that?
Because I called.
Oh, you called my family. And why would you do something like that, Mr.
Why wouldn't I? It's a free country. I can communicate, can't I?
Our correspondent lost it defending a critic of Scientology, a Florida man called Shawn Lonsdale, who died recently. John remembers him as an unusual American.
The light in Clearwater, Florida, shimmers off the bayou, the sky mirrored in water. Downtown is dominated by the Superpower building, the mecca of the Church of Scientology, which for Hollywood star parishioners like Tom Cruise and John Travolta is a force for good, but for its ex-members, an evil cult enthralled to space aliens. Clearwater is a hot contender for being the creepiest paradise on the planet. Hang out in Clearwater and you can see squads of Scientologists march to and from auditing sessions, part of the wisdom of their messiah, the late L. Ron Hubbard. A couple of years ago you would have seen one man against the crowd, Shawn Lonsdale, filming them. They filmed him. He filmed them, filming him, filming them. Some of Shawn's footage is utterly surreal. The sole image, a Scientology cameraman clad in black, filming him for minutes on end. No one speaks. You get the feeling that this was a fight to the last camera battery. Clearwater got that little bit more creepy recently, with the death, the police are treating it as suicide, of Shawn. When alive, a Scientology spokesman said of him, he has no redeeming value to anyone, anywhere. Well, he was a bit of a hero to me. Shawn was 5'9", slight, dark hair, a wry manner which would, in the right circumstances, break into a gentle grin. Shawn had been thrown out of the US Navy for clocking a lieutenant on the jaw while drunk. He did a bit of this and a bit of that, and slowly drifted down to Clearwater. A couple of years ago, he'd gone along to a council meeting about a planning dispute. The local paper reported that he fell out with a Scientologist at that meeting, was followed home that night, and the next day found a strange van parked outside his house. Suddenly, the rootless drifter had a mission in life. He challenged Scientology in its citadel. His phone would ring at weird times, and strangers would say, "We know what you do. We know who you are. Why are you doing this?" Last spring, we showed up in Clearwater, making a panorama documentary about Scientology. When we interviewed 2 ex-members in Clearwater, Scientology's Tommy Davis was waiting for us in our hotel at midnight, with a black-clad cameraman. It had started. For the first part of the interview with Shawn, we'd chosen the top of a multi-storey car park deck, open to the sun, a public place, but not in anybody's way. My first question was, you've been described as a social outcast, a menace, a fruitcake, a nutter. Why would Scientology make those kind of suggestions about you? Shawn replied, they are trying to embarrass me. They try to paint you as crazy so that no one will listen to you. The more he talked, the more disturbing it became. I was followed by private investigators. I was followed by several vehicles which I was later able to track back to Scientology-owned vehicles. I was threatened with death. while he was explaining how it had become very difficult for him to get a job in Clearwater, I became aware that a 4x4 with blacked-out windows had joined us on top of the car park. The interview trailed to a stop. It was like a scene from The Matrix, as a man in a beautiful suit wearing sunglasses walked over, awesomely self-confident, to mock the human stain. It was Tommy Davis, the Scientologist who is, some say, very close to Tom Cruise. He opened a folder and began to read out Shawn's criminal record. He'd been caught twice having sex with men, consenting adults, some years ago. Shawn smiled and said, "Now, would Scientology be able to help me with any of these problems I supposedly have? L. Ron Hubbard once said that homosexuals should be disposed of quietly and without sorrow." Tommy ignored Shawn. "Now, he does speak about this openly, of course." I cut in. "He's not an animal. Answer his question, can't you?" I'm not sure that Tommy Davis ever did. We left Shawn to his one-man war, shaking our heads in awe at his doggedness. A few days later in LA, at Scientology's sickening Industry of Death exhibition, which blames the Nazi Holocaust on psychiatry, Davis shouted at me, condemning me for mocking esteemed Hollywood stars, but giving an easy interview to convicted sexual pervert Shawn Lonsdale.
Because Shawn Lonsdale, convicted sexual pervert, is your pal that you're chauffeuring around Clearwater.
I lost it big time and shouted back that Tommy wasn't there for the first part of the interview. Shawn was, but now he's dead, and I, for one, mourn the loss of a brave and singular American.